Welcome to Python Club. So today we're going to build a calculator with 4 calculations to demonstrate how to use and define function and why do we have them and why do we use them. So here is a note. It's a little definition of function. So a function is a block of organized, reusable code that is used to perform a single related action. It provides a better modularity for application and a high degree of code reusing. So simply speaking, it's easier for you to basically manage your whole program, and that's the reason why we use them, because then we can break the problems apart to like small problems and solve them, and it is easier to debug with like functions. So let's type the code. So first we're gonna do result function. So we need inputs, number inputs. Num1 is, we can do either float or int, but float will be better. Input first number, and then here num2. So the second number, it's the same thing. Just change this to second. Okay, now we got our numbers, and command means the calculation. Input, which calculation method. So here we got our input setting up, and we can use if. So if command is equal to addition, we use print num1 plus num2, which is addition. We can test that out. 2, 3, addition, we got 5. Yeah, and then we can basically copy this. If change this to elif or else if. Command is subtraction, you just minus, and then keep going. If it is multiplication, you multiply them, and division. The part division is very interesting because you cannot divide it by 0. So we use a if number num2, which is a denominator, is 0. We print a message saying that can not be divided by 0. Restart the program, and then we can exit. And then if it's not 0, we use else. We can just print num1, first number, divided by num2. So here it is, the calculator program. You can try it out now. First number, let's say 4. Second number is 3. We times them. It will be 12. Yeah. And for the 0 scenario, 4 and 0, division, yeah, it will be exited. The program will exit itself, and here it is. Now let's try to deal with function. So we just keep this code for comparison later, and yeah. Okay, so what we have to do first is define our functions, and let's remove this to here. So this is a result function and this is width function. So first we go def means define. So it's basically a keyword that tells Python that, okay, I'm going to have my function now. And here is your function name. Since we want to do addition at first, we can call it add, for example. And you're passing in the variable that you're going to use inside the function. It can be anything, to be honest. It depends on how you name it. If you want to name it like num1 and num2, sure, but it's a bit confusing. Sometimes you'll run into a situation where the namings are confusing. So we just use this, x and y. It's the most basic ones. Return keyword means simply you return the value back to the memory so that you can access it when the client program requires it. So since it's addition, we use x plus y, and here it is, our first function, which is addition. Now here we can use minus, for example, the name. I'm sorry, the naming is bad. But here, and then we can use times, and here we can use x times y, and we can also define divide. Now we can have something really interesting here. Instead of the if here, we can copy it and insert it here. Change this to x. No, this is y, because denominator. If yes, and then if it's not, so else. If it's else, then we can return x divided by y. Now we got our functions defined, just a bit formatting, and we can start to do it now. So we simply keep up the if command, because that's a part where we identify the calculation command. And if it's addition, instead of print number 1 plus number 2, we just print the method name, function name, add, and we pass in the variable that you just inputted. So num1 and num2. For just do this for all the other prints, and change it when you need. Change the name of variable. No, change the name of the function, since if you're using add, then you're basically just calling the add function over and over and again. And here we can times, that's what we called it, and here we call it divide. Now let's test it out. First number, let's say 4, 5, addition 9. It does the same job apparently. And if we have 4 and 0, we do division. We will get the message that we set for the denominator being 0, and yeah, and we can test the other two functions, 4 and 4. Let's say multiplication. Yeah, we get 16. And finally subtraction, 4 and 8. We do subtraction and -4. So here we got our code. This part is with function. Function is defined here, and it is called here. So just some takeaways and we're done. So first, remember the keywords. def means define. Return simply means giving the value back. and this part is the name of your function, and here is the instances that you are going to use inside the function. So the thing you use inside the function is not accessible by the other parts in the program. So let's say print x, for example, and it will simply give you an error message because x simply doesn't exist. You can think of this as a shell and this as the other shell. It's like there's a boundary between them. And finally, remember to use print, because if you don't use print but only calling the method, it will just return the value to the computer but not to your output screen. So I believe this is it. The reason why we use function is because it's easily managed and we can debug them easily and reuse the code instead of copy and paste. And yeah, thank you for your watching, and we'll see you Thursday and next week. Bye.